Matrix and Hammer.
Welcome back to Baseline Jumper. I'm the Matrix. I'm here with Hammer. Mate, we're here to chat some, I went to call it sleepers and busts, but in true NBL form, decided to call it cash cows and fool's gold.
Yeah, man, this is where I really get excited. Look, new format, Gameday Squad. We've got our code. Get involved with it. But look, this is where you're going to set your season up. You got to get in early, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And use code IFSAB. Look, other fantasy sports are up in the air, but Gameday Squad has been a stagnant. It has been something I've been playing for a couple years now across a few different formats. This is the time of the year that you can start to find a little bit of value. There's nobody really ripping some packs. It's good to get in early. We've had a look at the blitz. And we've got some ideas around some roles around some of these guys. Look, the first thing I do, and it's different of the app, of course, is to pop into the players. Look, it's fun ripping packs. I'm a big card collector, so popping in, you'll get plenty of packs. You get 27 cards just by signing up with our code, as well as the free cards that you get every week. But I'm looking to find some value of some higher end cards, some platinums and some diamonds. So we're gonna have a little bit of a chat about some players that we think. And let's start with some cash cows. Let's start with the MVP of the league. Once he opens up and gets into this game, he is going to be somebody that I will be chasing.
Yeah, look, this is Isaiah Brockington you're talking about of New Zealand Breakers. He's the shooting guard slotted in there next to PJC, and it feels like he's the perfect Robin to PJC's Batman. And this is a guy who has been across the stat sheet, scored the ball incredibly well, rebounded the ball incredibly well, and I think this scoring format's going to suit him. So if we're sleeping on him early, I don't think he's going to be this cheap for this long.
Another one, we were having a chat about off air about an interview around with Justin Tatum. And of course, it's around the starting point guard. There's been some movement in the team. The team's adjusted. Will Hickey has had an excellent summer league. I also cover the NBA on Insight Fantasy Sports on our Ball Logic podcast. But there is a fair bit of value around Will Hickey, you reckon, mate?
Yeah, not just summer league. He was also there with the Boomers. He's really put in work over the off season to probably capitalize on a really, really steep trajectory over the last 2 years. But Tatum's come out and said, this is our point guard. They did trial an import during the Blitz. It's looking like with this news about Davo, this import might be coming off the bench or they'll go in a different direction. But, mate, this is a format that really suits him. You know, Davo's all over the place, the steals, the blocks, the assists. You do have those turnovers. You can score the ball. But, mate, I think he's in for a breakout year with this squad.
Yeah, and as an elite defender, we need to remember on Gameday Squad, you get 5 points for a steal. You get 4 points for a 3-point made. Look, he gets his rebounds. He gets 4 points for an assist. When I have a look at Will Hickey and I see platinum, so that's 1.3 times his score for just $3. I get a little bit of movement, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I can see that happening, mate. The only worry with Hickey is he is turnover prone, which is -3, and the fouls are -2. So you got to factor that in. But look, I think he's going to be really solid. And the role, as of today, has been confirmed, will be expanded as a starter.
Mate, somebody that I had a little bit of a look around at,
I really like this
and
one.
I was excited about was Milton Doyle. Now, it doesn't come from, the $12 cards. Well, it does a little bit. You start to see him go for $12 and $10 and that when it comes to platinum. But there's a couple on there sneaking in for $4 for platinum, which is cheaper than his gold.
Yeah.
Again, that's 1.3 times his score. And with the faster pace that they're going to be playing at Melbourne United, I'm really interested to see what Milton Doyle, a big, lanky guard, can do. Probably not going to be asked to do as much defensively being on the same team as Shea Illy. So I'm going to expect more energy, more, I suppose, gas in the tank when it comes to offense. And yeah, when you start to look at, a guy like this that can put it back on an offensive rebound, that can get hot from three, that can get some assists, probably better defending off ball a little bit with how lanky he is prone to a turnover. But look, when matched up against smaller guards, can probably get blocks as well. Milton Doyle is one that I have my eye on.
Yeah, definitely. He's looking good. I think despite, playing that sort of shooting guard small forward position, he's still the lead creator on that squad. Even with the import point guard that's come in, we know Shea Illy's not much of a creator himself. Milton Doyle is going to be relied on to really set the tone on offense and get people involved. And you're going to have the assists. The steals have always been good. He gambles, which, look, in this pays off. Turnover prone, yes, but was that last year because he was asked to do way too much with not enough around him? Pace of play is going to suit him, more possessions. He will score the ball. Mate, he just has to pass the ball on a ball reversal, and Chris Goulding's going to jack up a three, and there's an easy assist. So this is value. And when you can see these cards like you're talking about, where you're getting your platinums for cheaper than a gold, I'd be jumping on that.
Yeah, 100%. And you see a silver, which is 1.1 times for $4 there as well.
Yeah.
Just buy the cheapies for Milton Doyle, because I reckon once he gets a round or two into the season, that price is going to skyrocket. Another one that everybody was probably selling last year, it was Jaylen Galloway. He has been a guy that comes with a little bit of NBA experience. And to be honest, just exciting to be back in. I'm not seeing a lot of cards in here because a lot of people are going to be waiting and seeing. But if you pack him, I reckon that he is a guy that you can hold and play most games this year. I think with the guard heavy rotation for Sydney Kings, I think that he's going to get his.
Yeah, I think the competition there for him is around that small forward position. But just the athleticism sets him apart from the others. He can slide 4 through 3, possibly 2 at a stretch. But you got guys like Bull Quoll there and Kawhi Noy, and they're very different players. I think Jaylen Galloway suits that squad a bit better. And if the blitz is anything to go by, he's the man. And mate, do we not remember what he did in his Boomers campaign? He shot the lights out. I think this is the player we were expecting for the last 2 years. And look, I've been fooled before, but I think it's worth betting on this and riding it all the way to the top.
Yeah, and he was the MVP of that Asia Cup win. I was more sorry if that was confusing. It sounded like with the guard rotation. I'm just thinking with the way that Kendrick and Delly shares the ball quite well. I think that he's going to be looking for Jaylen, and just remember, father time has to come for Delly at some stage. He's kind of had that honeymoon period of coming back to play for Australia after coming out of the NBA, where things were a bit easy. But I think Delly is a 1999 model. And as somebody that groans when I get out of a car at the moment, father time is coming from one 35-year-old to another.
Man, it's kids. I was feeling 23 until about 18 months ago, and I have just fallen off a cliff overnight. But you're right. Delly's not only succumbing to father time, I think it's the situation in Sydney for him as well. They say they're going to share the guard, whoever gets the ball between him and KD. But the difference is KD can play off the ball because he can shoot the piss out of it. Delly is not the guy. If he's off the ball, do you really have to step out and guard his shot? I'm not sold. And we saw the game he played with KD. I don't know if it was in the Blitz or when they were playing the Jack Jumpers down in Tassie, but didn't look great. He looked a lot better when KD wasn't there, and it's going to take some time to figure out the chemistry between these two. So, look, he'd be falling firmly into my fool's gold category, and if I've got a Delly, I'd be selling it pretty quick.
Yeah, and they're selling for good money at the moment, and probably just from being Australian basketball royalty. But All good things must come to an end. You're starting to
Yeah.
see some of these diamond cards getting sold for $35, $40. You pack a deli, I think that you can sell and capitalize maybe even before the season starts,
Yeah.
or when some people pop in and they're creating their team and they get excited and
Yeah.
start to buy these high-end cards. You're
And
looking at selling your delis.
that's part of the game. You've got to know when to sell. You can't catch a falling knife. It's like the stock market. Just because you got it, you can't keep, chasing your losses. Get off deli.
Yeah, and sell deli and think you could buy 10. You can sell Delhi and go buy a Milton Doyle, and
Yeah,
I think you're getting a younger asset and somebody that can perform well.
for sure.
Look, yeah, he falls into the Phil's Gold category for me in that. I'm just not sure how well it goes with two super ball dominant guards. Like playing next to Shea Illy, you've had your defensive specialist, Delhi being a great guy in himself. Even Chris
Mhm.
Goulding never pounds the air out of the rock or anything like that. He's a
No.
catch and shoot guy. Just waits for. He's been waiting for guys to hit him, and Delhi's been that guy. But yeah, I think them signing KD is
Yeah.
sort of spelling the end. Delhi's going to have a little bit of a swan song, and yeah, I would be selling him. Look, we've mentioned a lot of guards tonight, mate.
Mhm.
And look, I would love to mention a JaVale McGee, but let's wait. He's only landed in Australia.
Yeah.
I do think if you get a JaVale McGee, and I know you're not as high on this as me, I think you should sell him. As an NBL analyst, I've noticed that the 20-minute cap for him around, his asthma, which he only found out about his second year of playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
I know that he's had pneumonia and he's missed something crazy, like 25 of his last 32 games. He's missed a lot of games. I think he'll be good and a point per minute beast. I'm just not sure that he's a guy that will play that many minutes in the NBL.
Yeah, look, I'm torn on this, and I get your argument, but look, Puerto Rico's a solid league, and he's just finished up a pretty impressive stint there. And if you go back to the final, he played 36 minutes for 33 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, went 14 of 18 from the field. Like, if he can produce anything along those lines, you'd be laughing. And what have they got until Sam Froling comes back? They've got Harry Froling. They've got, Mason Peeling's not a 5. Where else do you go? He has to play, right?
I think they're going to have to find minutes with Mason Peatling at the 5. I saw Mason Peatling trying to look. I'm not saying buy Mason Peatling. That could be my most boring. If I said that could be my most boring take of all time. I'm just saying that I am not sure during the you're talking about finals minutes. Yeah, that's great. If when it comes to finals in this and Gameday Squad do have a format for finals, I am all in on JaVale McGee. But you've got
See, I'm
20,
not, because
you've got
come
20 other
finals,
red.
Sam Froling's back. I reckon the
Yeah.
start is where it's at.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with him is, a Shackton a full MVP. We know big men take time to get acclimated to the league. He's probably going to foul out before he gets gassed and reaches his 20 minutes. But in that 20 minutes, this dude, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this will be the highest points per minute guy in the league this year.
Yeah,
Don't know how
that's
many
good.
minutes he'll play, but he'll be up there.
That'll be really good for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Look, I can't wait to pull JaVale McGee and sell him to you, mate.
You can play him as much as you want.
Mate, we're talking about Ice Humphries with our next one.
Yeah.
And I'm talking Milton Doyle's were honestly cheaper than Ice Humphries. Not that I don't think that he's an Australian basketball legend and a great player in his own right. I just think the fit next to somebody like Montrez doesn't permit for him to grow as a player. I think we're going to get a little bit less than what we got last year. And he had a great year last year. I owned him in other fantasy formats. He's somebody that I did play in my squad a lot last year. But I will be looking to sell my stocks in Ice Humphries.
Yeah, this one's disappointing because I was so high on him at the start of free agency when Adelaide had come out and said, we need to move away from Montrezl Harrell. We need a shooting four. Isaac's our guy. We're going to design everything around going down low to him, get him involved. But obviously, that was shit. And they've recruited over him, and I doubt he's going to play that much at all. So they're definitely on the fool's gold list. And the next time I'm be hoping to pull Isaac Humphries is Christmas time when he pulls out his Christmas Carol CD.
Well, that was I thought that was going in a different direction, but
Yeah,
let's leave that there.
Really sounded better in my head.
Mate, one guy that we will be starting to see in packs is Alex Ducas as well. He's one that you've had in your Fool's Gold list. And I suppose in the same right, let's talk about guys coming from Australia, from overseas. You've had Rain Smith in your cash cows, or somebody that you're excited to add. Let's have a little bit of a chat about the yin and yang of these two guys.
Yeah, look, let's start with Rain Smith first, man. I am so high on this guy. You look at the construction of Cairns' roster; they're really deep at that sort of 3-4 position. They are thin at guard. And they're probably my two biggest cash cows I'm looking at would be Ashton Hagens, the import point guard, averaged 9 assists in the G League one season. He's going to be a double-double with assists. He's a defensive specialist, the steals. This format suits him perfectly. And then next to him, you got Rain Smith, who just pulls that trigger from deep and is automatic. There is no competition for him at the 2 spot. Cody Statman is, daylight for second there. I reckon Rain, look, he's a little one-dimensional, a little limited, but, the opportunity's there, and I'm hoping his game expands. He reminds me a lot of a DJ 3J when he first came back from college, and his game expanded since he's been here. Look, this format, while we've talked about other people that benefits, I don't think it is as friendly to Rain Smith because he's so reliant just on hitting threes, but look, there's opportunity there.
Yep, and Alex Ducas, mate, somebody that you want to just draw while he might be good, you just want to draw a line through him?
Look, I think he's going to get an inflated price because, to the casual fan, they'll say, the Oklahoma City champion, NBA talent. Let's be real, was he? Probably not. Sam McDaniel seems to still be the one who's in favor there. The defensive nous of this guy, the ability to take on their number one offensive threat on the perimeter fits nicely around all those other weapons. I think Ducas's role will at times push him into the rotation more. He's going to play. He gives him a different look. He's got size, especially if you're moving, Prather up to the 4 spot at times. But I think for now, Sam McDaniel's got it, and you could probably pick up Ducas a bit cheaper if those roles and those fortunes reverse.
Mate, that just about wraps up everybody that we're excited for with our first, I suppose, it's buy low, sell high when it comes to Gameday Squad. Of course, there's got to be points on the board. And even holding a deli and stuff to start off with will give you points. But we're looking at maybe selling some of these guys that we do think could be fool's gold just before the season starts, and buying up some of these cash cows, or buying up multiple of these cash cows, because you can play them and watch them increase in value, and then go and sell them, and work your way up to some absolute guns. To win some real cash prizes when it comes to Gameday Squad. Look, use code IFSAB, get some free cards on us. Join the Insight Fantasy Sports competition. We're going to have in our WhatsApp, we're going to have a stream open for Gameday Squad. Look, we've been waiting on some other fantasy formats, and Gameday Squad has been the best. It's been the one coming forward, and I'm really excited for this year.
Yeah, I'm all in. Can't wait. Will you,
you've listened.
Will you buy one of my delis?
I'll swap you a deli for a JaVale McGee.
I'll take a Rocco Zukowski. How's that?
I've got no All right, man. You've listened to an Insight NBL show, Baseline Jumper. Cheerio.